Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Bless Chris. Hey, Autistic Shill. Nice to see you guys again. Yeah, I figure most people are probably in bed, and I actually didn't plan to go live until probably 20 minutes ago. So, I don't expect a lot of people to be here just because of the time, and it is a sensitive topic this evening. So, and that's okay if you
Yeah.
guys skip this one. So, I hope you guys are well. I have Geneva with me tonight.
Hello,
So
hello.
she couldn't make it this afternoon, but she was able to make it this evening.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rebecca Zanu. This was I want to say, um, I mean, it's such a, I don't want to say interesting. It is interesting, but it's also unfortunate. Um, this happened back in 2011,
It's pretty
and
complex if I remember correctly. Like it's kind of a complex.
yeah, now her her family is still trying to get justice for
Right.
this, and so her family is from they reside within the uh, St. Joseph, Missouri area, and she was dating this millionaire named Jonah Shackney, and he was in the San Diego, Coronado area in California. And basically, she was found um, hung over the second story balcony, and she was bound. Her legs were bound, and her wrists were bound behind her back, and she
Hmm.
was hung by her neck. There were no fractures in her neck, and her death was ruled a suicide by the medical examiners. Her family filed a civil suit against the guy's brother, and they won $5 million, and he was found to be responsible for her death. And even after that, the San Diego Sheriff's Office still never
Refused.
pros
Yeah.
they never filed any charges on him. So it's all very, something seems off to me,
Yeah.
and I don't know what it is and why they're not. Um, so we're just going to kind of go over that, and there is something kind of interesting with this case and the connection to the presidential campaign going on right now.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know about
yeah,
that. Cool.
yeah, and we'll pull
Lovely.
that up. Yeah. So there is a connection there. So let me. Hey, Barbie.
That's kind of what I think, Chris, too. Because he was a very, very wealthy man, if I
Hmm.
remember correctly, and I think pretty influential to some degree.
He was in the pharmaceutical business.
Yeah.
So, and this was a vacation home that they were at,
Right.
and um, it was a very large home, and it
Yes.
had a caretaker's home and a guest house in the back, and we'll see pictures of it.
Yeah. That's
Um,
a lot of houses in court. And it wasn't it kind of a famous house though, too?
it's the Spreckles Mansion.
Okay. For some reason, I thought that there was like some history behind the house itself, but maybe not. But in Coronado, I mean, that's how all the houses are. They're very, very large and have usually multiple dwellings on the property.
Hmm. So let me pull up. I'm going to pull up the initial um, death investigation, and then we'll just kind of go in order. I do have media press conference that they did as well. So this is the initial one, and this is from July 13th, 2011. Let me see, I could probably zoom that in a little bit.
So did they initially investigate it as a homicide? Is that why it says homicide unit?
No. They called in like the CSI team and they did a full-on investigation on it.
Okay. To rule it out,
I would
basically.
think that anything that has to do with someone hanging over a
Suspicious.
balcony
Yeah.
is gonna be looked at suspiciously, yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So this says that on July 13th, 2011, at approximately 8:20 hours, the Coronado Police Department requested the assistance of the San Diego Sheriff's Department's homicide detail. The Coronado police were investigating a suspicious death at 1043 Ocean Boulevard. Ocean Boulevard's a pretty common street. In the city of Coronado, at approximately 6:48, units from the Coronado Police Department went to 1043 Ocean Boulevard in response to a 911 call. The reporting party indicated a female was possibly deceased at the residence. When the Coronado units arrived at the scene, they located a female adult on the property who appeared to be in distress. They immediately provided medical aid until the Coronado Fire Department arrived on scene a few moments later. After a short time, the woman was determined to be deceased by the responders from the Coronado Fire Department. The condition of the victim at the scene showed suspicious circumstances that initiated the response from the Coronado Police Department investigators, and in turn, the Sheriff's Homicide Detail, along with investigators from the California Department of Justice and the San Diego County Medical Examiner's Office. The Sheriff's Department is conducting this investigation in partnership with the Coronado Police Department. And it goes on to say that they're working. The name of the decedent is being withheld pending notification of her next of kin.
Right.
And so basically that's that one. Let me stop sharing that one. And the follow-up basically just said it was the same day, but it was at 10:30 at night. It identified her as Rebecca, a 32-year-old Asian female. And it basically just says that the earlier press release regarding the death investigation on Ocean Boulevard, the decedent in this case has been identified as Rebecca, the girlfriend of the homeowner. Currently, a team of detectives and crime laboratory personnel are processing the scene. The cause and manner of death is pending autopsy. So that one was just short and brief. So now I'm going to pull up. I'm going to pull up a series of photographs. I will say that at the end, I've got 37 pictures that depict various, there's pictures of the home, there's pictures of like the bedroom. Let me see how many are at the end though, so I can at least warn you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's going to be about 8 pictures at the very end that show the hands bound, but you're not going to see like
Her face or her body or anything, just the hands.
Yeah, there is like a picture up, but it's blurred out.
Okay.
And, but I just want to warn you
Oh,
guys.
yeah, yeah.
And the reason I'm showing this is because I think it's important to see how her hands were bound behind her back because this is ruled a suicide.
Right,
It's when you see the pictures, you get an idea of how this is possible or not possible. Like when I saw the pictures, I was reading about it, and when I saw it, I'm like, wait a minute, how is this possible? But
right.
um, I'll let you guys tell me what you think. So let me share my screen again.
Hey,
And then
Star.
hey, Star, is this the teacher from 2011? She worked in um, optometry, I think it was. Actually, let me look. She worked at Horizon Eye Specialist and LASIK Center. Okay, so this is the residence. Now this is the main house, and then you're gonna have the guest house over to the back right, and then the caretaker's house. And so this is gonna be the front of the house. Different crime. Okay. And this is going to be the back of the residence. And then right here is the balcony that she was found um, to be over the railing.
Nice caretaker's house, though, and guest house. Geez,
Yeah, no kidding.
most people's homes.
I was eyeballing that neighbor's pool. I was like, "Oh, that's a
I
nice
know.
pool." You favor? Oh, really, Star? Yeah, it's
Yeah, I vaguely remember it too, Star. Vaguely. Like, I don't I'm sketchy on the details, but I
mhm,
kinda remember the questioning of the case and
yeah.
sort of interest around it.
I will say that like I was briefly talking to Geneva before this, and um she wasn't like totally familiar with it, and I was like, it'll be good for you not to totally know it because I'm going to admit that I'm biased. Like any case that has any sort of Asian ethnicity, I can openly admit that I'm always biased towards it. I just am. I naturally am. And um I can openly and freely admit that. I just am
Yeah,
more
no, that I
sensitive.
get it. That
I'm more
makes sense.
sensitive to it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
but so here we've got the back again, and it's harder to see the balcony because of the palm tree, but and then we've got this is the layout of what they did for the actual scene. And then these are just evidence markers. So it says item list, the knife was found. There's a knife here. 16 is a candle, and 22 was like a round plastic table.
And these were all found below the balcony outside?
Yes, this is
Okay,
yeah, because
okay,
that's her.
okay. Oh, and that's how, like, they used the knife to cut her down?
Um, that I don't know because there was a couple
Okay.
knives found.
Oh, okay, okay.
She has a couple sisters, yeah. And then this is they didn't mark this one, but this is in the
It's the
let's
husband's
see.
brother, Star, I think.
Well, she wasn't married, but
The boyfriend,
he
yeah.
he's never been charged.
Right.
S-
But he was the guy they were kinda suspicious of, right? The brother of the boyfriend?
Well, yeah, they filed a civil lawsuit against
Right.
him.
Okay. Okay.
Let me see. I'm trying to see if our audio is about the same. I don't know if we're too loud or what. Okay, let's see. And then this is going to be the bedroom. And then here, 26, let's see. We've got, there's another knife. That's a 13-inch, 27. It's right there. We can always come back to this. Plastic bag, rope, cell phone was 30. Where's 30 at? 30, 30, 30, 30. I don't see it. Paintbrush, red stain, paintbrush, towel, door, paint tube. Now, when they did their press conference, they redacted the writing on the door. I'm not sure why, but I do have an unredacted copy of it so we can see that. And then this is the courtyard, and that's the balcony where she was hanging over. And then this is the same drawing that we saw a minute ago.
Okay.
And these are supposed to be footprints. I personally don't see it, but I also,
Yeah, I don't see it either. It just looks like dirty bricks to me.
they'll enlarge them. They put these together. So we'll go over the bigger photos. But there's that plastic table.
Okay.
But that's the rope and the balcony, obviously.
Right.
And then we've got the candle and the knife.
Is there a significance to the candle,
I have no idea about that. The candle.
or they were just documenting everything?
I haven't seen anything about the candle,
Okay, they were probably just
but
documenting everything that was below.
yeah, and to be honest, there's like stuff that I haven't like fully gone over. Like
Right,
I haven't looked at a police report yet
right.
on this. Um, and this is the balcony door. And this is supposed to be that footprint, but I just don't see it. Like at all.
Mm-mm.
Do you guys see a footprint? I can
Yeah,
zoom in
zoom it
more.
in a little more?
Well,
Maybe.
even
Maybe, like, I see a very faint dark, like, I don't know if it looks like it's a shoe print, though, not a footprint.
well, I know that they indicated in one of them that there's toe prints. I just don't see
Yeah,
it.
I
And her
don't
feet were dirty. The bottoms of her feet were dirty. There's blood there, looks like.
do
You
you
see
see the
toes, Bliss
toes?
Chris? Where at? Hey, Esmeralda.
Like, I see little circles, but those don't look like
Like,
toes.
is it right here?
Yeah, like, I kinda see the circles, but I don't know if that's toes.
I just,
I don't know,
I,
that's a tough call for me.
yeah. And that's zoomed in 300%. Let me see. Oh, let's go down. See, like, where the hell? I don't know. This is zoomed into 125%. Testicle, you said I can see the shape of the bottom of the foot, the inset shape. Really? I just,
It's like one of those, like, you remember those, like, 3D pictures back in the day where if you stared at them long enough,
said,
like, you
oh,
would
I see the toes now.
like those things back in the 90s
Mm-hmm.
where it was just like weird graphic, and then if you stared at it long enough, the picture would pop out.
Yeah.
Although I never could see the picture, but
I don't know. I don't see it. You guys see something I don't.
I
You
don't.
see
I mean,
the
I
this is the
look
other
so close,
one.
but I don't know if that's really a footprint or not. Oh, okay. I think I see it.
What? Really?
It's to the right. Am I seeing what you guys are seeing? It's to the right. Go to the right more.
I can't. This is the
No,
photo.
no, no. Your cursor. I'm sorry, with your cursor. Okay, and you can see there's like a pale.
But that would be off from the ruler. That wouldn't make sense.
Really? Because that's what it looks like to me. Is like that's the heel, and
But
then you
why would
go.
they be measured? They're not measuring though.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they be? Why would they measure something
That was so far up. I guess it would
like
be more up than where the
right here, and right here makes more sense, but like
I
to
don't know,
measure
right
outside of
there.
the ruler would not make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. But for some reason, I can kind of see right there where there's like a heel, and then you can kind of see where it goes up and like slopes to the top where the toes would be. But I don't know if
That'd be
that's
like putting an evidence marker 3 feet from a bullet,
right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. That's like the only thing I see that could remotely look like a foot to me. But apparently, other you guys see it, so that's good. Somebody
You
sees
guys
it.
have I mean, I do see, like, the dirt, and then it's lighter. I should post, like, these screenshots and have you guys, like, draw where they are, where you guys see it. Because, I definitely don't see it. Oh, here we go. Oh my god, and I even put these all into one. Look at me. I suck. I'm the worst armchair
Okay. See,
investigator.
I was right though. Those were the toe prints on the top. See where they have the little doot doot, and
The
then it
what?
doot doot. Whatever you
It
call that
doesn't
little.
make sense though, that one picture. Like, why the hell would they put a ruler outside of the
Okay, so
like
see, that was
this
a
is the
boot.
worst fucking picture.
Right, but you know what though? So look, what I thought was a shoe print is a shoe print. It's a boot impression, and then the foot,
They obviously edited this picture.
and then where it says toe prints, that's what I thought. Those were the toes, and then the heel is down by the ruler. But that was a because remember I said it looked like a shoe print, not a bare foot.
So does it look like if those are toe prints and they're facing
Out like towards outwards towards the railing.
but there's a boot there. So does that mean I'm trying to figure out what this means she willingly went to that? I mean, there's no
And I
drag
don't know.
marks in
I
her
don't.
footprints.
Yeah, I can't tell with the footprints on the bottom, like what I can't distinctly make out what those footprints.
You know, like there's no it's not like it's forced
Right,
from what I can tell. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. I mean, it could be forced. I mean, if you're
yeah, but
pushing
wouldn't you be
somebody,
dragging your feet
well,
or
if he's like pushing her, if he pushed her or something, like your automatic instinct is going to be to put your feet out to catch her, especially if, I mean, I know this is getting gruesome, but I mean, if you're bound with your hands behind your back and somebody pushes
Mhm.
you and you don't have your hands to catch you,
Here's my biggest thing I don't understand about this. Normally, when you like in a hanging, your how do you pronounce it? Your hyoid bone or whatever
Yeah,
is fractured. There
right.
was none of that on her. And it's
Interesting.
not like that is a small fall, you know?
Right. No, yeah. I mean, it doesn't
She
take
didn't
much to
have any
fracture
of
that
that.
bone. Yeah.
So that's what I don't understand. And especially if she was doing that to herself,
Right.
like she would have
There would have
that
been some
force would be
momentum. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, she was hung really high. But okay, so I just making sure I and then we've got gloves. A basket. That must be because she
It was
was
off of a
nude.
second floor balcony, Star.
Hmm. And you'll see it here pretty soon because um, it'll show. Now, this is the unredacted paint on the door. She saved him. Can you save her? Um, Now, his son fell off the second story inside the home. And during all of this, he was actually in the hospital in a coma. And he passed away on the 16th. And this accident with her happened on the 13th.
And he was like a little
6.
boy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there when he fell, right?
Yes. Now, this is them trying to recreate this. And this is just a close up of them recreating it. And this is the rope over the balcony,
It's
obviously.
interesting that the rope looks like it's two different colors. Is it like two different ropes that got tied together? Or maybe
Mm,
it's just the flash of the camera or something making it, because it's like on the inside of the railing, it looks white, and on the outside, it looks red.
right. Yeah, I don't. Sorry, I'm trying to go peek slowly so I can at least warn you if it's coming up. Um, balcony again. And then this one confused me because I don't really know where this is at. Like it's
Maybe it's from the downstairs, like, it almost looks like an egress window. So, like, it might have been under the
like, is
balcony.
there even glass there?
Well, they may have taken it out. No, there's glass there because you can see the caulking around it.
Really? I can't see it.
And then it looks like you're just looking out at the ground right there. Like, did she break that wall when they, or did they break that wall when they got her down?
I don't know because I mean, wouldn't there be a reflection from the flash on the window?
Not necessarily, not if they knew how to take the picture. Like, if you put, I mean, there's things you can do to make the reflection not happen. I'm not a photographer, so I don't know, but maybe there wasn't a flash. Maybe there's just a light, like they have one of those big lights shining through it or shining
Hmm,
outside.
interesting.
But that's kind of what it looks like. It looks like it's almost level with the ground, which would make me think it's like an egress or something.
I
Or
don't know.
maybe just something from the first floor.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to look into that.
Or like, yeah, like Star said, a crawl space of some kind, maybe. But I
Hold
don't know
on,
why they're taking
really
pictures
quick.
from
I
in
just
there.
want to know what page I'm going to real quick.
Okay.
Um, just so I don't have to. Uh, page 30. Okay. just so I don't have to keep trying to be sneaky
Right.
with it. I just want to at least give you guys warning. Okay.
Okay, so what is that? Toothpaste? Paint? Oh, that's the paint.
Yes.
That's the paint. Okay.
Mm.
It looked like toothpaste, like a tube of toothpaste. Like charcoal toothpaste. So that's the paint. Okay, so there was a knife inside too?
Yeah, there was 2 knives inside.
Oh, I thought they were outside.
There was 1 outside and 2 inside.
Okay.
When
That
we
was like a
looked at
huge
the
thing.
black and white drawing, there were
Yeah.
2 indicated on the sheet.
Okay.
And then this is where it was tied up to the bed, the foot of the bed.
Okay.
Looks like a bed I had growing up. Pretty sure. Looks just like it. Then they're showing again how it was tied up. This is her forehead. They're showing a picture of her forehead. And now the next pictures are going to start showing her legs and arms bound. So I just wanted to at least warn you guys. Um, you're not going to see anything like bloody or anything like that, but I at least want to let you guys know in case you want to look away, turn it off, or whatever. I will let you know when I'm done. There's only a few pictures of this, so but this is, I guess, injuries on her forehead, some scratches.
Yeah, they look like scratches or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is blurred out, but this is where she landed. And then Star, here's the balcony that you're asking about. And so that's how far down she was.
But she didn't fall. They cut her down, right?
Yes.
Like she didn't fall all the way. Like the rope didn't break or anything. They had to cut her down.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
Okay.
And then was both of those things were tied on her neck. So
That's like a piece of fabric or something.
it was like a t-shirt.
Okay.
And then this is behind her back. So I don't know how she managed to do this, but and then another angle from behind her back. Another one from behind her back. And then her legs, and how I said her feet were really dirty.
And she's got some scratches on her legs too. But that could have been just, I mean, these scratches could have just been from getting her down. She could see a couple scratches on her feet too.
And then her hands, again, her arms. And that is the end of those. So when you look at those, I have it blows my
That's a
mind.
complicated tie too. Like the way her hands were tied together, like that was a complicated, that'd be hard to do on yourself behind your back.
I don't know how she would have done that.
Yeah.
Let me see where the let me look here which one's next. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen again. Now, this is going to be the San Diego County Sheriff's Department homicide death investigation. This is a PowerPoint that they put together on the case. And it's basically a timeline, but they put together what they did.
Okay.
Okay. This is just basically their
report. Essentially,
yes.
their investigation report, kind of.
Okay, so she was an Asian female, 5'3" and a half, 100 pounds, 32 years old. And then it was said on July 13th, 2011, Coronado police requested assistance from the sheriff's department regarding suspicious death at 1043 Ocean Boulevard. Sheriff's personnel arrived at about 9:20 hours to begin their investigation. Investigators and support personnel from the sheriff's department, Coronado Police Department, and the California Department of Justice learned a nude and bound female was found hanging from a balcony in the courtyard by the homeowner's brother at 6:48. When was this? So it was
9:20.
9:20. Hey, Kendra. Let's see. Also learned the homeowner's 6-year-old son was in a coma at Children's Hospital due to injuries resulting from a fall. And then
And he fell over the second floor railing inside, right?
Yes.
Isn't that what happened? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that he was in the hospital.
Right.
And he passed away on the
a
okay.
couple days later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just interesting that it's kind of a
Yeah. And so then it says the last outgoing call from Becca's phone was to her voicemail at about 50 hours. The investigation revealed that message was left to inform Rebecca of Max's grave condition and immediate death. Let's see. This was in contradiction to previous, more positive reports regarding his condition. Let's see. She was found laying on the lawn in the courtyard. Her wrists and ankles were bound with a red rope, hands behind her back. Now, let me ask you guys a question. We can either go over these slides and there's some other PowerPoints that they did, or there's a press conference that they did that outlines the same thing. And we can play that if you'd rather hear that. Would you rather hear the press conference?
I don't have a preference.
Okay, let me play that. That might be better than hearing my raspy ass voice today. My voice is terrible today. Real quick before I do that though, let me show you the connection to the before I play the press conference, let me show you this connection real quick. Because Jonah wrote a letter.
And that's the boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wrote it on September 19th, 2011. This is a letter that he wrote to the Honorable. You see it?
Oh.
Yep.
Because she was AG at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. and he wrote her, and he said, "I write to request your assistance under." I'm surprised with how much money he has. I'm honestly surprised he wrote this by himself.
Maybe he didn't. You think he
Huh?
did? You think he did?
Well, I mean, if he had counsel, then they would have. I would assume that they would have.
Advised him to not send it?
Well, no, I mean they would have like submitted it for him. Is this
Oh, I
the
see.
case? Wait, what are you saying, Kendra? Is this the case something is upset about? Everyone? Is that what it's saying, everyone?
No, I think didn't the brother cut her down? The boyfriend's brother? Or did the police cut her down? Who cut her down?
Um, I don't remember who cut her down. Yes, I was saying everyone, but I don't think it's a particular case. She would put people away of color for a long sentence. Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard of that. Maybe because they filed a civil suit on this guy's brother, and the family won, and he was ordered to pay $5 million, and they found him responsible for her death. And even after that judgment, and they found him responsible for her death, they still did not press charges on him. And she's obviously an Asian female, and the family's been pressing for charges ever since. Let's see. The Constitution and bringing some clarity, dignity, and ultimately closure to the devastating deaths of my youngest son, Max, and my girlfriend and companion of 2 years, Rebecca, in Coronado this July. I bet he sold that house quickly.
Right?
Let's see, he basically just goes over this. Trying to see, without reading this whole thing.
I think, you know what, Star? I think the initial report said that she was found hanging, but I don't think it said by who or who cut her down. They just said that she was
Yeah.
found hanging, they cut her down, they
Mhm.
were rendering aid until the fire department showed up and declared her deceased. But I don't think it said who cut her down.
Yeah, let me go to the press conference. So I feel like we're jumping all over the place. So let me just go to
Yeah,
that.
we kind of are.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick. Coronado. Here we go. If you guys can't hear this, let me know. I was saying everyone, but I don't think it. Wait, I already read that.
Yeah, you read that.
Let me start by introducing the people who have joined me here in the front of the room. To my immediate right is Commander Mike Lawton from the Coronado Police Department. Chief Lou Scanlon would have been here this morning,
quiet to you
but
guys?
he's on a scheduled trip out of the country. Next to Mike is Dr. John Lucas
Sounds
from the
okay
Medical
to
Examiner's
me,
Office.
but
On the far right is Mike Grubb,
maybe a
Director
little
of San Diego
quiet.
Sheriff's Department Laboratory. On my immediate left is Dave Nemeth, Sergeant with the Homicide Unit, San Diego Sheriff's.
It's not quiet to you?
Captain Tim Curran from our Central Investigations
A little
Unit.
quiet.
Getting feedback.
Volume's up all the way. What the hell?
On Monday, July 11th, paramedics and Coronado police officers responded to a 911 call at 1043 Ocean Boulevard in Coronado. They administered emergency medical care to 6-year-old Max Shacknai and transported him to Sharp Hospital in Coronado. They then took him to Ray's Children's Hospital in San Diego. The Coronado Police Department immediately began an investigation into the cause of Max's injuries. On Wednesday, July 13th at 6:48 a.m., another 911 call brought paramedics and Coronado police officers back to the same Coronado residence. Rebecca Zahau, who resided at this house with Max's father, Jonas Shacknai, had been discovered hanging naked from his small bedroom balcony with her feet and hands bound. Because of their limited resources and our long-standing partnership in conducting suspicious death investigations, the Coronado Police Department requested the assistance of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. A sheriff's homicide team, along with crime scene investigators from our lab, responded, processed the scene, and began an investigation. Tragically, Max succumbed to his injuries on Saturday, July the 16th. The investigations of Max Shacknai's and Rebecca Zahau's deaths were worked cooperatively with the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, Coronado Police Department, and the San Diego Medical Examiner's Office. Our purpose here today...
Chat, can you guys hear that? I just want to make sure. Because I feel like I can't hear shit. But I don't know if it's just me. I guess I'll just keep playing it. If Geneva says she hears it, fine. Yes, you hear it? Okay.
is to publicly report the findings with regard to the Rebecca Zahau and Max Shacknai deaths. Earlier this week, we met personally with both Rebecca and Max's families to provide our findings and answer their questions. I'd like to point out that the Shacknai and Zahau families have been cooperative and approachable every step of the investigation. There's been a lot of speculation about this case. Normally, we wouldn't comment on an investigation of this nature.
I'm just going to, because this is at sped up and this is directly off of the Sheriff's Department website, I'm just going to let this play through since this is not on YouTube.
However, the intensity of the local, national, and even international media, coupled with the unique circumstances surrounding Rebecca's death, suggested otherwise, and that's why we're here this morning. Our responsibility is to answer one very important question. Were these deaths the result of criminal conduct? Was Max's death a homicide? The answer is no. It was a tragic accident. Was Rebecca's death a homicide? Again, the answer is no. It was a suicide. To reach these conclusions relied in substantial measure upon the physical evidence, the scene of each event, witness interviews, the medical evidence, and the forensic evidence, including DNA, fingerprints, and biomechanics. They are all compelling and all point persuasively to a single conclusion. These deaths were not the result of any criminal acts. The conclusions presented today are based on good, methodical, investigative work and science. Science is our best witness in this case. Science is not biased, and it does not lie. I've asked the people that have joined me here this morning up front to give you the details of the investigations that led to our conclusions. And we're going to start with Commander Mike Lawton from the Coronado Police Department.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, everybody. First, I'd like to say on behalf of the City of Coronado, we send our condolences to the Shacknai and the Zahau family. We know that this is a very tragic set of events that occurred in the beginning of July involving both families, and we want to make sure that they understand, that we understand our condolences go to their family. We also would ask, because of that you allow them to go through the grieving process and respect any privacy that they request. I'll start my presentation with a little bit about Max Shacknai. Max is a 6-year-old son of Jonah and Dina Shacknai. He's 45 inches tall, which is 3 foot 9 inches, and he weighs 57 pounds. There were, as the sheriff indicated, there were 2 calls for service at the house, one on July 11th and one on July 13th, 2 days later. I'll cover the July 11th call. This involves the injury of Max. The Coronado Police Department received a 911 medical aid call on July 11th at about 10:10 in the morning. The call came from the sister of Rebecca Zahau. This is a 13-year-old sister. She was on the phone and she reported that a boy had fallen down the stairs and was not breathing at the house. Immediately, our dispatchers transferred that call to Heartland Communications, which is the fire paramedic dispatch for Coronado Fire. Our police officers arrived 2 minutes later, and fire department arrived 1 minute after that. Max was found by our officers unconscious on the floor at the bottom of the staircase inside the foyer. Fire personnel, who were 1 minute behind us, began life-saving measures immediately. Maxfield was transported to Sharp Coronado Hospital and then eventually to Rady Children's Hospital within about an hour and a half. The two people inside the house at the time the officers arrived were Rebecca Zahau and her 13-year-old sister, as I indicated before. They were the only persons inside the house. Also inside the house, there was the Shacknai family dog, a Weimaraner. The staircase chandelier, and you'll see it later in my presentation here, was lying on the floor beside Maxfield. It had broken glass, and in addition to that, there were 2 soccer balls and a child's scooter also laying in the same area. The statements that were given to our officers immediately at the scene indicated that Rebecca Zahau, who was in the house, heard a loud noise, came to find Maxfield on the floor at the bottom of the staircase with the chandelier beside him. He was not breathing. It's important to note here that no one witnessed the fall. No one witnessed the fall. Rebecca found him after the fall. I want to add that that day, immediately, the Coronado Police Department, because it was an unwitnessed accident involving a kid, we responded our investigations unit out to the scene immediately. We began taking photographs of the stairwell and the scene. We actually interviewed people at the scene and also later at the hospital, the family members that came to the hospital. This is in regards to the unwitnessed accident. Okay, that takes care of July 11th's scene. I'm going to go to July 13th, 2 days later. We received another 911 call from the residents. The 911 caller was Adam Shacknai. He is the brother of Jonah Shacknai. He indicated to our dispatchers that he had found a woman hanging from a balcony inside the courtyard of the residence. We immediately responded, police officers and fire, and arrived and found Rebecca Zahau deceased on the ground. As the sheriff indicated, she was bound with her hands and legs, and she had a rope around her neck, but we found her on the ground. Immediately, the Coronado Police Department could tell that our resources were going to be expended to the maximum in this case, so we made a call to the County Sheriff's Department, which is a standard procedure for us. They responded out a homicide team and an evidence team to assist us in the investigation. We worked together because of the close proximity of both of these cases, the unwitnessed fall on Monday and the incident on Wednesday. We worked together on both cases. Forward to July 14th, Thursday, the day after Rebecca was found. Our investigators received information from Rady Children's Hospital that Maxfield's condition was worsening. Up until that point, the information that we had from the hospital and family was that his condition was stable and that they were optimistic. This changed that dynamic. Our investigators responded immediately to Rady Children's Hospital to conduct an interview, and we additionally photographed Maxfield at the hospital. Tragically, as the sheriff indicated, Maxfield did succumb to his injuries and passed away on Saturday, July 16th. As the sheriff indicated, both of these investigations involved collection of evidence and forensics. In the death of Max, one of the important things that we received was during our interviews, we got information that it was not uncommon for the children to play in and around the staircase and the hallways at the top and the bottom. Some of that was evidenced by the soccer balls being in the area, as well as the scooter. All of that would have been consistent with the information we got in statements. In addition to that, as I explained earlier, the dog was found at the house on Monday. The dog was actually on the first landing, and I'll show you that in just a moment, when the officers arrived. So he was present at the area of where the fall occurred, the dog was. The chandelier that was found at the scene that I indicated showed a broken chain at the very top of it, and it had obviously crashed it to the ground. It was clear from our investigation initially that Maxfield had fallen from somewhere in the staircase, but the fall and the actions prior to the fall had been unwitnessed, and that was our job to find out where that occurred from. The injuries that Maxfield suffered, along with the evidence collected at the scene, showed to us that it was consistent with a fall from the second floor. And I'll show you in just a moment the second floor and the height and where we believe the fall began from. Okay, this photo is a photo off the internet, so it's not a photo that occurred at the time of the accident, but I think it demonstrates for you a good picture of the staircase and the chandelier where it would have been prior to this accident on July 11th. The staircase is a two-story U-shaped stairwell with the first flight, let's see, right here, where my red marker is. Then a landing, as I described, right here. That is where the Weimaraner was when officers arrived on Maxfield's call at the landing. And then an upper staircase that goes up to the second floor, which is over here to the left. This is really just to show you the condition of what would have appeared probably prior to the fall. It's another photo. This is one of our photos. It shows you standing on the first landing and looking back down towards the front door. You get a good picture of the foyer area. It's important to note that the floor in that foyer area is a concrete floor with carpet on it. When we conducted our investigation, we found evidence of the chandelier, some of the evidence of the chandelier. Oh, I'm sorry. Evidence of the chandelier down here in the bottom area of that landing, in this corner where this post is. And that's important to note, as well as evidence of broken chandelier glass down in the alcove at the bottom, which would have been back in this corner here. And that's very important in terms of our conclusions. Okay, this photograph on top. It has a graphic on the bottom. It shows the same staircase that we were describing. Max Field was found in this area. The evidence I talked about in terms of the glass was found back in the alcove there and back over in this area. The graphic below gives you a depiction of where we believe the fall began from, based off the evidence that was collected in this investigation. The evidence is the evidence that was at the scene, as well as Max Field's injuries. Okay, this final graphic is a graphic of what we believe happened based off the physical evidence in the case. Shows what we believe Max Field falling from the staircase where the second stair railing meets the banister at the second floor, going over the top and coming down, and then hitting his head on the floor at the bottom. Falling to the floor and striking his head was an important part of this investigation, and Dr. John Lucas will explain that further in terms of the conclusions. The Coronado Police Department and the Sheriff's investigation in Max Field's death indicated that there was no evidence indicating any kind of foul play in this, that it was a tragic accident, and we've ruled Max's death an accident. The Coronado Police Department would like to thank the Sheriff's Office, the Medical Examiner's Office, the District Attorney's Office, and the California Department of Justice for their assistance in this investigation. And I want to reiterate to you, this is a tragic loss of two people. The Shacknai and Zahau family are still grieving, and it's important that the public and the media understand that. Now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. John Lucas.
Thank you, Commander. Good morning. Let me begin by saying that the Medical Examiner's Office also offers its condolences to both families. The sudden, unexpected, and certainly violent loss of a young, healthy loved one is one of the worst things that a family can endure. And we certainly appreciate their patience and cooperativeness throughout these investigations. Max Shacknai ultimately died as a result of an injury of the upper cervical spinal cord, that's the top of the neck, right below where it exits the base of the skull. The injury was a spinal cord contusion, and I'll explain this injury in more detail shortly. Based on the injury patterns, Max fell and struck the carpeted floor face first. He had a group of abrasions and contusions indicated in the diagram on the screen on his right forehead and around his right eye, and he had an underlying fracture of his frontal bone right along the midline. An impact on the forehead is the type of force necessary for this type of fracture. If these were the only injuries that he had sustained, he may well have survived the fall. However, that impact caused a bending of his upper cervical spine, of his upper neck, a hyperextension, or bending of the head backwards, as if you were to look at the ceiling. That bending caused injury of the spinal cord, but did not cause a fracture. The injury to the cord at this high level resulted in interference with heart rate and or breathing, explaining why when paramedics found him, he had no heartbeat and no respirations. The lack of oxygen to his brain during the 25 to 30 minutes of aggressive resuscitation resulted in irreversible brain damage, despite the fact that a pulse was eventually regained and he was hooked to a respirator. By then, the damage had already been done. He died of that brain damage 5 days later. The only other group of injuries that Max had were on his back. A series of repeating abrasions or scrapes, roughly corresponding to his ribs or spinous processes, those bumps that run down the middle of your back. These injuries and those of his head and neck are consistent with the scenario just shown to you by the Coronado Police Department. There was no evidence of a struggle, and toxicological testing of blood drawn at Rady Children's at a mission detected no alcohol, medications, or drugs. So based on the law enforcement investigation, the physical evidence, and the autopsy findings, the cause of death is rather long. It's anoxic ischemic encephalopathy, as you can see here, due to resuscitated cardiopulmonary arrest, due to cervical spinal cord contusion, due to blunt force trauma of head and neck. And again, in more simple terms, he suffered an injury to his upper spinal cord that stopped his heart and lungs. That resulted in brain damage during the period of time before his heartbeat and breathing were restored. He then subsequently died from that brain injury 5 days later. We're certifying the manner of death as accident. Thank you.
Can you go back to your one slide? I just think it's important to comment about the one with the diagram him falling over. But nobody here is, none of the investigators or the medical examiner or the biomechanics expert we had look at this is suggesting that Max went to that railing and threw himself over. The best we can come up with his body weight and the force it would have taken to go across that area to the chandelier and impact the railing on the other side is that he was running down the hall, which we were frequently told that they did. They played in that area, and something caused him to trip, whether it was a ball, whether it was the dog, or something that He then tripped and fell over that railing, grabbing the chandelier, twisting him around to where his back impacted the rail on the other side, went down to his knees, and then to his head. Without that being witnessed, that's the best theory that we can come up with the medical examiner, the investigators, the forensics involved, as to what happened in the cause of Max's death. Now I'd like to turn it over to Sergeant Dave Nemeth from our homicide unit, who will discuss the death of Rebecca Zahau.
Good morning. I would like to echo Coronado Police Department and our condolences to the families. These events were tragic, and I'd also like to echo the request that we respect their grieving process. I'm Sergeant Dave Nemeth. I supervise the team that conducted the investigation into the death of Rebecca Zahau. Behind me, you'll find diagrams that are pertinent to my presentation. They include a diagram of the balcony from which Rebecca was found hanging, a scene diagram of the room to which that balcony was attached, and of course a diagram of the courtyard where Rebecca was ultimately found. During my presentation, I may refer to these diagrams to give you a clearer picture of what I'm speaking about at the time. This is Rebecca. She's Asian female, 5'3.5", 100 pounds. She was born in 1979, was 32 years old, and she was the girlfriend of Jonas Shacknai, who was the owner of the home. On July 13th, the Coronado Police Department requested assistance from the Sheriff's Department regarding a suspicious death at 1043 Ocean Boulevard in Coronado. Sheriff's Department personnel arrived about 9:20 in the morning to begin the investigation. Investigators and support personnel from the Sheriff's Department, Coronado Police Department, and the California Department of Justice attended the briefing. We learned at that briefing a nude and bound female was found hanging from a balcony in the courtyard by the homeowner's brother at about 6:48 in the morning. We also learned the homeowner's 6-year-old son was in a coma at Children's Hospital due to injuries resulting from the fall. You'll see here an overall view of the mansion, this being the main house, the caretaker's living quarters with the garage below, and this is the guest house. Here's the courtyard. The balcony is roughly here. Rebecca was found roughly here on the grass. Preliminary information I'm providing for you to give you some perspective are things that happened just prior to the event. The last outgoing call from Rebecca's phone was found to be to her own voicemail at about 10 minutes to 1 in the morning. We know from the investigation that message that was left on her phone was to inform Rebecca of Maxie's grave condition and imminent death. We also know that that was in contradiction to previous more positive reports she had been receiving regarding his condition. I'll start with the outside scene, give you an idea of what we found outside, and then I'll move to the inside scene and give you an idea of what we found there. Outside, we found Rebecca. She was laying on the lawn in the courtyard, roughly where I described previously. Her wrists and ankles were bound with red rope, and her hands were behind her back. The same red rope and a T-shirt were around her neck, and the same red rope was hanging over the balcony railing. There was a table below the balcony and a kitchen knife on the ground near Rebecca. The investigation showed the knife and table had been used by the reporting party to cut Rebecca down when she was discovered. Adam Shacknai, the homeowner's brother, was the reporting party and had been staying in the guest house at the time. Inside, when we approached the door to the guest room to which the balcony was attached, there was a message painted in black paint on the door leading to the room. I am going to show you a picture of the door. We will not be revealing what the message said. That's roughly the height of the message. Continuing inside, the red rope was found secured to the footboard of the bed. There were 2 paintbrushes, one of which had black paint, on the floor near the bed. There was also a tube of black paint found under a plastic bag on the floor near the bed. There were 2 kitchen knives, one large and one small, also on the floor near the bed. And the side of the bed to which the rope was attached had been pulled away from the wall. Here's a picture. You can see here the leg of the bed to which the rope was attached. Down here you can see a paintbrush, which happened to be the one that had the black paint on the bristles. Here's another paintbrush. The tube of paint was found under this plastic bag. Here's the large knife and the small knife. And you'll notice the rope extends out in this direction, which is toward the balcony. The red rope went out the double doors leading to the balcony and over the railing. Foot and toe impressions were found on the balcony tile, and the dust which had settled on the railing had been disturbed. There was also a boot impression found on the balcony tile. We identified the source as that of a police officer's boot, and we recovered that boot. There were no other disturbances found on the balcony. This is, again, a picture which I had shown previously, showing the rope extending toward the balcony. The rope continued through the room, through the balcony doors. These doors were open at the time of the incident, and the rope goes over the balcony and down to the courtyard. This is a picture of the balcony. This bracket here shows an approximately 11-inch disturbance in the dust on the railing, and here there's another disturbance, which was where the rope was laying over the railing. This is a picture of the balcony showing, here's the boot impression, which we matched to a police officer's boot, toe impressions here, and foot impressions here. And as you can see, these feet, the heels are together in this fashion. Got a better picture of it over here. It gives you a little bit better idea. You can see the outline of the foot here, where the toes are, here, where the toes are. Better picture here where you can see them. This is a picture here where the toes are next to the balcony, which is a blow up of this area here. And of course, here's the boot impression. Evidence was collected and ultimately examined in this case. The black paint from the door, the brush, the paint tube, paint found on the victim's hand and torso, and on the rope around her neck were all the same paint. Fingerprints from the guest room entry door, the door jamb itself, the balcony door, the large knife, and the bed leg directly next to the rope were all from Rebecca. DNA profiles from the victim's bindings, both her hands and her feet, the rope around her neck, the rope attached to the footboard of the bed, and the small knife were only from Rebecca. And I'd like to point out that the crime lab personnel that did this analysis focused very strongly on areas that would have had to be manipulated to accomplish tying a person up in the manner that we found her. You can also say that the knots, the slip knots that were on the feet, the wrists, and around the neck were all of the same type. Foot impressions from the balcony were consistent with the size of Rebecca's feet and consistent with her ankles being bound. Disturbances on the railing were consistent approximately with the width of Rebecca's torso. She was very petite. And the smaller disturbance to the right was consistent with the size of the rope. Toe impressions on the balcony were consistent with a person moving up next to the railing and leaning forward and going over the railing. And as you can see here, these toe impressions that were found next to the railing, you can see a furrow here, a little bit of a furrow here, as if the toes had slid backwards. No additional evidence or information was received during the course of this investigation to believe foul play was involved in this event. Numerous witnesses were interviewed. All were cooperative and were confident in their truthfulness. The autopsy results supported the findings of the investigators in this case, and I'll let Dr. Lucas go into more detail on those. We interviewed a witness that reported she had contact with Rebecca in January. Having observed Rebecca had lost weight, seemed stressed, was not sleeping well, and was not exercising, which was normal for her. She was what could be described as a health nut. She exercised a lot. She had also engaged in conversations with the same witness regarding problems she was having at the time. This was supported by a journal we found on Rebecca's phone, which in writing expressed many of the same things that she had told this witness in January. And last, we received information from witnesses that Rebecca was distraught over Maxie's injury. Before going to conclusions on this, I would like to say that no one witnessed this event. We don't know exactly how this event occurred. We don't know in what order things were done. The only person who can answer that, unfortunately, is deceased. Based on the evidence we have, based on the information we received during the course of this investigation, this is the best conclusion we can come up with. Rebecca received news regarding Maxie's grave condition at about 10 minutes to 1 in the morning. She made the decision to take her own life. She located a rope, possibly from the garage. We found a shelf in the garage that had boating items, and the rope was of the type you would use to tow a person on an inner tube or something of that manner behind a boat. There was a void on that shelf. It was a full shelf up until a certain point where there was a void about that wide that was empty. The homeowner wasn't sure if there was a rope in that location, but it's possible that's where she found the rope. She removed her clothing or was already unclothed, perhaps coming out of the shower, painted the message on the door, cut the rope into sections, and secured the rope to the bed. She bound her feet, placed the rope in the shirt around her neck, fashioned her wrist bindings, and secured her hands behind her back. Rebecca moved out to the balcony, leaned forward over the railing, and fell. We conducted an experiment to determine if it is possible for a person to secure their hands behind their back in the fashion we found. This was, after all the evidence we received and after all the investigation we conducted, this question we had to answer. We had to see if this was possible. And we have a video to show you, because we videotaped the experiment, to show you what we found. The person depicted in this video is roughly of the same stature, size as Rebecca. The bindings you see were the result of painstaking study of the bindings that were on Rebecca. We used the actual bindings without untying them. And that is as close as possible as we could get to recreating those bindings. The rope is also of the same type. And what you'll see here at the end is this rope is a little tighter, this one is loose, which is consistent, which is what was found at autopsy. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Sheriff Gore. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's okay. Actually, I'll be turning it over to Dr. Lucas briefly. However, I also like to note that when she was found in the courtyard, the rope, the portion of the rope that you would have to pull on to tighten it, as you saw in the video, was found through her fingers, still grasped in her fingers. I'll turn it over to Dr. Lucas. He can discuss the autopsy results.
I also performed the autopsy on Rebecca Zahau. As you've heard now, she was found hanging nude, fully suspended, with her ankles bound and her hands bound behind her back. There were 3 separate portions of the rope, all apparently from the same rope, and what those were used. There was also a long-sleeve T-shirt, like a light cotton T-shirt that the sleeves had been wrapped around her neck. It was loose and not part of the asphyxia or the neck pressure component of this case. She did die of asphyxia due to hanging, and based on the autopsy findings, she was alive when she went over the balcony. The injuries on her neck were consistent with a drop, the distance from the balcony to the end of the rope, which was just about 9 feet. This is as opposed to the quote-unquote usual type of hanging where somebody drops only a few inches or eases their weight into the ligature. There were also scattered abrasions or scrapes on her back and legs, and these were consistent with her impacting or interacting with large plants under the balcony against the exterior of the house, and you can see that in the exhibit there marked courtyard in the top photo. There was no evidence of a struggle or sexual assault, and there were no other significant injuries. The bottoms of her feet were dirty, consistent with having been standing on the balcony. There was no toxicological or physical evidence that she was rendered unconscious or incapacitated prior to the hanging. Finally, her hand was easily removed from the wrist bindings. I personally removed it, and it was just a simple matter of slipping her hand out. The bindings were not tight. And as was already pointed out, the end of the rope that would have been used to tighten the bindings was actually in one of her hands. I'll be the first to admit that this was a unique and unusual case, and I've personally investigated many suicides and homicides of various types. We have to look past the unusual appearance of the death and focus on the facts and the evidence. Based on the totality of the investigation, the physical evidence documented by the Sheriff's Department, and the autopsy findings, our office concluded that the cause of death was hanging and the manner of death was suicide. Thank you.
Okay, we'll open it up to questions now.
I don't know. Something just still sits weird with me.
Yeah, I agree.
I get the whole presentation with the rope, but
But how did she have no other injuries? If she dropped 9 feet or whatever he
Yeah.
said, how were there
Mhm.
no injuries whatsoever? She just asphyxiated? I don't believe that.
yeah. Now I do have a copy of the autopsy report,
Yeah,
and it gives a like a narrative on what happened. I mean, they basically just went over it,
right.
and the rest of it, I don't understand what the hell they're saying. But let me see. Where is it? Autopsy. Here it is.
And like, how long had she been hanging there for before he called it in? Because if he was living in the guest house, you would think he would have
Mm-hmm.
heard or seen something before, I mean, if her only cause of death was asphyxiation, she was probably hanging there for a bit before.
Pull this up. This is the medical examiner's autopsy report. And it says here, let's see. Decedent was a 32-year-old divorced Asian female. I didn't realize she was married prior. Who resided in a home in Coronado with her boyfriend. On 7/13/2011, her body was discovered hanging in a courtyard of her home. Due to suspicious circumstances, a homicide investigation was initiated. Medical examiner's jurisdiction invoked according to California Government Code. Death due to unknown or suspected homicide. Let's see. Legacy funeral and not important. Here we go. Following information was obtained during a joint personal interview with me, San Diego Sheriff Homicide Detective, Deputy Medical Examiner Lucas, who we just saw, and multiple Coronado police detectives. The descendant resided in the home at Ocean Boulevard in Coronado with boyfriend of 2 years, Jonah, what was his, Shackney, yeah. During the months between Memorial Day and Labor Day. Interesting. During the rest of the year, they resided in Arizona. On 7/11/11, the decedent was at home with her 14-year-old sister, who was visiting from out of town, and Jonah's 6-year-old son. Reportedly, the 6-year-old fell in the entryway stairwell and was transported to Rady Children's Hospital with life-threatening injuries. Jonah and the boy's biological mother had been by his bedside since the incident. So that's why he was gone. Okay. On 7/12/2011, the decedent drove her sister to the airport to return to her home. While at the airport, she picked up Jonah's brother, Adam, who flew in from out of town to be with his brother. They went to the hospital to meet Jonah, and then the three went out to dinner. Jonah returned to the hospital, and the decedent and Adam returned. Where am I at? Sorry, I saw something go by my phone. The decedent and Adam returned to the home. The decedent was last seen by Adam at approximately
6:30 a.m.
where am I at?
approximately.
No, I think I was up here. She was in the
Oh.
main house, and Adam retired to the guest house behind the main residence. On 7/13/11 at approximately 6:30 hours, Adam exited the guest house into the courtyard area between the guest house and the main house. He immediately saw the decedent hanged. What is that? Oh, live police chase. He immediately saw the decedent hanged by the neck with a rope attached to a second-story balcony. Adam ran into the main house to get a knife, but there's 3 knives there.
Right.
Pulled a nearby wooden table to the decedent's body. I mean, you'd have to. How
And
the
this
hell do you
wasn't,
reach that?
well, supposedly he stood on the table, that
Yeah,
plastic
but
table, but that
still.
plastic table, I don't think would hold the weight of both of them.
Yeah, but they're saying wooden table, and even if you were standing on a table, that's still
Yeah.
really high.
And that was not the master bedroom, right? Didn't they say that was a guest bedroom?
A guest bedroom? Yeah.
Which also seems kind of strange. Like if somebody were to harm themselves, that they're going to sit here. I mean, that's like a very thought out way to harm yourself. And it doesn't seem like, I don't know.
Unless it's because it was in the back of the house. I mean, maybe the
But
main
it's
bedroom.
just like, why would you like have the thought of, okay, I'm going to go downstairs, I'm going to in the garage, I'm going to get a rope, I'm going to tie it in this fashion around myself, and I'm going to throw myself over the balcony. It's like, if you're going to harm yourself, there's a bazillion other ways to do it. Like that seems a little,
I mean, it seems like she could have even done it on the inside of the house where the
well,
little kid
right,
did it.
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like there were a million and
Mhm.
one other ways to accomplish all of this. And it seems like if she had gotten that call at 12:50 at night and then she was found at 6:30 in the morning,
Mhm.
you know, so we're talking within almost 5.5 hours here.
Mhm.
That's an awfully elaborate thing to plot out and do in
Yeah.
that amount of time. At least that to me, I mean, it just strikes me as shady
Right.
for that. I mean, just if I'm
There's just
thinking in a
something that's
logical
very
way.
unsettling about this whole
Yes.
thing.
Yes, I agree. I
Yeah, it's
absolutely agree.
and it says that he let's see. And I definitely didn't see a wooden table. Because I mean, there's the plastic table.
Right. Unless it
Um,
wasn't plastic, maybe it was wood, but it looked plastic to me.
I mean, it definitely looked plastic.
It looked like a cheapy plastic table that you'd go get at like
Well, and it says
Walmart.
here he removed a blue cloth which had been in her mouth in an effort to perform CPR. Placed a 911 call to request assistance, but the medical examiner just said it was around her neck.
Well,
And
he probably pulled it out of her mouth to do CPR. But I don't know why that would
how
have
would
been in
she
her
have it
mouth
in her mouth though?
and around the neck. Well, I could see her having it in her. If she did do this, she probably had it in her mouth so she could not audibly be heard yelling or screaming or whatever. But I don't know why she would have it around her neck and then in her mouth.
Yeah.
Because when they found her, they said it was around her neck. So I don't know. It's like if you're going to shove something in your mouth, why are you going to put it around your neck and shove it in your mouth? Like that seems a little, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but logic to me doesn't,
Yeah,
it doesn't add up.
um let- let's see. No history of psychiatric issues. Not prescribed anything. She was upset about the recent injury of her boyfriend's son, but did not seem to blame herself or take an excessive amount of responsibility for the accident. Her sister last talked to her like the night before, okay. Was in normal spirits and stated she would call her the next day. Now, from my understanding, and I can understand this, is that the family was like, there is no way that she would be naked. It's not within our religious beliefs. We're very
Right.
modest.
Right.
And so it was odd to them. Like they don't believe it that
Right.
she would be naked.
Right. Which clearly
So,
from the photos that we saw, she was,
oh,
but
yeah, she was.
she would not have. And it was weird that he said like that she was found in the nude, like maybe she had just come out of the shower. Like why? Why would you? She obviously probably didn't get out of the shower because her feet were dirty.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like that was a weird comment that they made in the press conference, and it kind of didn't
Yeah,
make
well,
sense.
and here it's talking about the scene, and it
Right.
said that Dr. Lucas, who we saw,
Mhm.
and I were escorted to the back of the residence to a courtyard area between the main house and the guest house. I noted a naked female body lying on the grass area beneath the balcony. A rope was hanging on the second-story balcony. The main house was a multi-room, multi-bathroom dwelling, which appeared clean and organized. The guest house consisted of 2 bedrooms. One of the floors had a suitcase, and the other room had an unmade bed, a few pieces of women's clothing on the floor, makeup wipes on the dresser, and a glass with clear liquid on the nightstand. Now, why would there be women's stuff there?
Well, like, were they her clothes? Like, did she? Oh, it was in the guest house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And why did it take them? Like, if she was found at 6:30 in the morning, why did they not show up until 7 o'clock at night? They
There's
arrived
just,
at
I mean,
1914.
unless they wrote this weird, because it says the guest house consisted of 2 bedrooms. One of the rooms had a suit. Like, I know that mansion had more than 2 bedrooms, so
Right,
the main.
right. Could it possibly have been like, was her sister? I don't know why her little sister
Well,
would
she
be
dropped her
staying in
off at
there.
the airport,
Oh, that's right.
but yeah. Let's see. Hand and feet were bound with an orange-colored rope. A similar rope was also found around her neck with a piece of cloth on top and wrapped around her neck. Um, let's see. Clean white sheet, and her hands and feet were wrapped in paper bags.
Her hands and feet were wrapped in paper bags.
They always do that.
Oh,
Preserve
after. Okay.
Mhm. I think then the rest of it just goes into like the actual autopsy report. Yeah, it does. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody really cares
She did
about
have a
that.
fracture of the hyoid bone.
From my well, that's weird because all these things kept saying she didn't. Left arm.
And hyoid bone left superior, thyroid cartilage, and left side. Okay, so she also had cartilage. So she did have neck injuries.
I don't know what any of that is talking about. Why is it talking about an arm? Like, this is the stuff I don't understand.
Fractures of left arm. Okay.
Why is it left arm of hyoid bone?
Left superior. Okay. Thyroid cartilage. Okay.
Do you know what all this stuff means?
I understand like the thyroid cartilage. So basically the cartilage around her neck. So why would it be on her? Everything is on her left side. It would be interesting to know if, like, how would she have fractured her left arm?
So it's her left arm?
Oh, never mind. I misread that. Sorry. I'm an idiot. So it's the left side of her neck, basically. The
Well, it's
left
the
side
most
of the left arm of, because like the hyoid bone looks like sort of reminds me of like a wishbone in a way. So it was the left side of that, the left side of her cartilage, sorry, her thyroid cartilage. and her carotid. So the left strap muscles and bilateral. Okay. And the muscles. So basically, it's like this everything in the left side of her neck snapped. Is essentially what it's saying.
That's weird that it's all left side.
Yeah. And like that bone is low, it's kind of like above where your thyroid cartilage is. So that's
Mhm.
like a higher up in your neck. So it was like from there, so like mid neck down.
Interesting.
And it is on the left side. So trying to, I mean, I don't know if that's common when somebody is hanging. I mean, I would think if you're falling, especially from that far, that the gravity is going to pull you straight down. So why would you have more?
Unless you tie the rope from the left side. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, she had
Oops, wait, wrong thing.
polyps in her uterus. Don't know what that has to do with anything.
Well, I think that it's just a.
The message on the door said, "She saved him. Can you save her?" Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Is
you answered
my
it.
message
Okay.
showing up in chat? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It
I just
wasn't
didn't see
showing
that.
up in chat earlier, so.
Yeah, I see it. It's just delayed on my end.
Let's see. This says, according to the investigator's report, an investigation by the San Diego Sheriff's Office and a scene visit by me, the 32-year-old woman was the girlfriend of the owner of a large beach home in Coronado, the Spreckles Mansion. On the evening of July 12th, 2011, she stayed with her at home with her boyfriend's brother who had just flown into town. Also that evening, her boyfriend was at Rady Children's Hospital with his 6-year-old son who had fallen in the home under the decedent's care. The previous morning and suffered life-threatening injuries. He eventually died on July 16th. ME case, da, da, da. On the morning of July 13th, the decedent's boyfriend's brother emerged from the guest house into the courtyard and found the decedent hanging by her neck, nude, fully suspended from the balcony on the second floor. With her hands and feet bound, he cut her down using a kitchen knife and a nearby table, removed a portion of the blue shirt that was in her mouth, and called 911. Coronado Police Department personnel responded and began cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Coronado Fire Department personnel responded, felt rigor mortis in her jaw. No other areas were checked and advised that CPR be stopped. Oh, huh. So that means she would have been there for,
Yeah.
it's not like 6 or 8 hours or something. The
Yeah.
decedent had no known history of being diagnosed with depression and no medical history.
But see, that doesn't, so he called 911 at 6:48. She checked her messages at 12:50. So we're talking a 6-hour difference. So that would imply that she didn't take that long after receiving that message to do this. Which is weird.
Hmm. I still think it's weird that a civil case found him responsible.
Mhm.
A jury.
Mhm.
I wonder what jurisdiction that would be, and that would have been in California.
Yeah, it would have been in San Diego County.
balcony from which she was hanging was attached to a small bedroom, and at the end of the rope was fastened in a slip loop to one
Did
of
they
the
say anything
legs.
about the handwriting?
Well, they tried to replicate it, which I showed in those pictures.
But I mean, they didn't say whether it looked like her handwriting or
Well, I think they're implying that because they had a woman replicate it. I don't know. I haven't.
I mean, I would think that there would be plenty of samples of her handwriting.
Yeah, I'm sure there was.
So you would think they would be able to say, "Oh yeah, that's consistent with her handwriting or not."
Hmm. I have to see if I can pull more stuff on this case because not everything is
Right.
public. So,
It would be interesting to see what evidence was allowed in that civil case. I mean, I assume all of this was allowed.
oh, I'm sure it was for sure. Because I don't see how they would be able to present any of this and find him
Right.
guilty of
Right.
being
I'm
responsible
just wondering
without
if there was
showing
other
this.
stuff in there, like like I feel like there would have been other information that they would have been
Oh,
privy
I'm
to.
sure there was a ton more that we haven't seen
Yeah.
without looking into it further on the civil case. I have no idea.
Right.
I would have to look into that.
I just feel like there has to be more to this for them to find him guilty. I mean, I'm sure there is.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
this is just the
certainly.
preliminary reports,
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
want
I
to
can
talk to
see
you.
what I can find tomorrow on it. So, yeah, I don't know. Something's really off with this, so.
I agree. Something's not adding up.
Yeah, let me see. We're on page 5 on this. I'll keep digging into this and see what else I find. Um, I'll see what kind of advocacy the families looked into as well, because I know they've been trying to get justice on this case.
Yeah.
I've been looking into a lot of advocacy work on various cases. Some, I don't know, feel good stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm at this stage in life that I could do something to make a difference. I've done a lot of research into various advocacy
Right.
nonprofits and stuff lately. So,
Yeah.
but
No, definitely. I think everybody has something that they could do to help others, whether regardless of what it is.
yeah,
I
I
feel
mean,
like people should be
we do
more.
stuff for some rescues locally,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah, as I'm so saying, I mean, that's that too, I mean, everybody I feel like can do something. And if you have knowledge of stuff that could help and research skills and stuff, then I say more power to you. Do what you can with it. Because definitely something positive could come out of it.
yeah, typically our dog rescue stuff is on the weekends,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could do something more.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
I
I
don't know,
definitely get
guys.
that.
It's a nasty world out there sometimes, and I think that we could
Mhm.
do something to better ourselves and
Yep.
better our communities and just be better people.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. I would keep going, but I am freaking exhausted.
Yeah, it's late for you.
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's
almost 1
late for me
o'clock.
too, but it's really late for you.
Yeah, I'm so tired. I still have this stupid headache. It's only on the left side of my front of my face, and like it feels like I have a knot at the base of my neck.
Oh,
I
that
think
sounds
it's
like
a tension headache, I think. I don't know.
yeah, if you have like a knot at the base of your neck, it could be
Feels like it.
just a lymph node that's irritated, which will give you a headache.
Well, over the weekend I was feeling stuffed up, but like not like mucusy. And
Maybe you
yesterday
have a
and
sinus
today,
infection or something going on.
yeah, I don't know
If it's
what
the
it is,
front of
but it's
your
so
head.
painful. Yeah, it's in the front of my head, and then it feels like at the like, base of my neck in the back. And I'm
Yeah,
just like, feel stuffed up, but not like snotty.
right.
So,
No,
but
I get it. Could just be
yeah.
allergies too. Who knows? There's so much
Yeah, and
crap
the
going
weather can't
around.
seem to make up its mind either.
Yeah, exactly. There's just a lot of crap floating around right now too. A lot of random colds and flus and
Yeah.
different things.
But we can definitely do more into this, look into it further if you
Hmm.
guys are interested. So I feel like there's a lot more to uncover with this.
Yeah, I think so.
Like something is just off with this, and I think that there's definitely more.
Yeah. No, something shady with it.
There is. Like I hate saying that, but something is off with it.
Yeah. No, I think
So
without a doubt there's some shady business going on. I don't know what. I want to read that letter that he wrote to Kamala. I'm curious what that was about.
um yeah, if you guys want me to put the link to where all like the sheriff's office documents and stuff are, I can put that in the description.
Okay.
So it has a bunch of, it doesn't have like the full record, which drives me crazy. It's a lot of press releases and like the
Hmm.
that kind of stuff, but I can include that. So if you
Yeah.
guys wanted to read further into it, I want to dig into the stuff that they didn't put out publicly.
Right.
Like
Right.
what, what are they hiding? Because there's
What more is
search
there?
warrants and stuff that are listed on there,
Yeah.
but they didn't release them publicly. So I'm
Right.
curious about that stuff. And
That
I'm
would be
curious about the
interesting with the
civil
civil.
case.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah,
I'd be interested
exactly.
to see what was in that civil case because I'm guessing there's stuff in there that didn't necessarily make it to the press. You know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I let me put the link to this. Actually, I'll put it here in the description. How about that? Let me give me 1 second. I'll put it in here. San Diego. San Diego Sheriff's Office. Um, sorry, guys. They call it the San Diego Sheriff's Office Coronado Death Investigation. There is a lot of stuff on here, but not everything.
Hmm.
So I'll put it in chat and then why is this saying image? That's weird. It says like image 1 or something. It should take you right to it. Let me grab it. This should work. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Cool.
me see if I can pin it.
Why does it say image 16?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I was trying to look at. But it should take you right there. You can
Okay.
try it and see. Yeah, it takes you right there, I believe. And I'll
Yeah.
put it in the description
Yeah.
as well.
It does.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I'm going to sign off here for the night since we are
Okay.
just approaching 1 o'clock. And we can figure out when you're available again. Obviously,
Okay.
pop on anytime. I scheduled the rest of Gypsy Rose's or Nicholas Go to John's trial for day 1 tomorrow at 3. And then if we have anything further to go on this case.
At 3 your time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I probably won't be able to make that.
What time would you be able to make it if you wanted to join?
Probably not until like 3:30 my time. So it'd have to be like 5:30-ish your time.
Okay.
But either way, I mean, I just will probably not be free until like 3:30.
3:30. Okay. Let me make sure with the Rye that I don't have anything tomorrow night.
Okay.
But then if not, then I can change it.
Okay.
So in fact, when this stream is over, it's going to shoot you guys right over to that stream, and you guys can hit the notification to know when we go live. So thank you guys for hanging out on this super, super late night live. And I hope you guys have a great night, great day. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Have a good night, everybody.
All righty. Good night, guys.